I thought it would be pretty fun to take a look at all of the art supplies that I used in 2024 and how many times I used each one. This is everything. I have a lot of art supplies. This is just a very small representation of each of the different categories, but it's pretty representational, I would say, based on like percentage of use. So watercolor being number one, neocolors, etc., etc. Um, and anyway, I'll go through everything. I'll explain what I have. I'll explain what I've made with them and like the different types of artwork that I've made with each of these things, how I use them together. Yeah, I think this might be a pretty fun video. Um, I always think I'll try to keep these short, but who knows? Who knows? Um, if you're new here, hello, my name is Melissa. I'm an artist, illustrator, graphic designer based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I am also the host of Art Hang Party, which is a weekly live hour-ish long art making session full of fast-paced drawing and a lot of fun that happens here on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Art Hang Party. It's a blast. It's a blast. I hope you come and draw with us. We have now done 101 sessions, so 102 coming up. Okay, this is a lot of stuff. I am going to try, like I said, to keep it short, but I will tell you the number of times I've used the materials, and then I will tell you what I used them with most, if I can remember, and then I'll show you some examples of what I made with them. So, number one most used art supply of 2024 is, I've already given it away, watercolor. I think if I had to put it down to color of watercolor, it would be these three watercolors. These are Holbein HWC watercolors, and the colors are Gamboge Nova, Quinacridone, Magenta, and Turquoise Blue. And these three colors are beautiful together. This just, if you ever just need a simple palette, these colors are all you need. Some variation of these colors. It's more of a CMY palette as opposed to an RGB palette. The colors just come out a little bit brighter. I'll show you some examples of what I've made with them, primarily my single line drawings, portraits and drawings. So I love doing single line with the Lamy Safari fountain pen, which is this guy, and I think it has a fine tip on it. I'm trying to read a fine tip, and then it has platinum carbon black ink inside, which is bulletproof, fancy way of saying waterproof. So I'd say these here are my most used of the 143 times that I've used watercolor last year. And then second most would be this palette here, which is majority Holbein watercolors. And then I think I have these labeled somewhere, so I'm happy to share that with you. This one in the corner here is Daniel Smith Moonglow. This one over here is some Turner, something that was supposed to be a neon pink, but turns out to be like a pearlescent pink. So that is going to go away and never be used. And then these are just, these ones here are some pastels that I made just by mixing some of the watercolors with white gouache. Because I was really close to buying pastel watercolors, and I was like, I can just make my own, thank you. So these are the most used, and then I got the Gonzai Tombi granulating colors. Sorry, I'll show you what I made mostly with just this palette. Some very nice landscapes from reference photos that I took in my homemade watercolor sketchbook. Just really, really pretty. I haven't done one of these probably since October, I think, if my memory is correct, the landscapes, but I love painting like that. And then I got the Gonzai Tombi granulating colors, which are very fun. This is a Neocolor I tin, and I just love that these pans fit in there. And then I had some neon Lumi color watercolors. This was from a set of 6 that I picked up in Japan, 2023. So I popped those in there to complete them out. And then these colors here are the same Holbein watercolors as what's down here for the most part, aside from that Dom Turner's. And then this is the Daniel Smith Moonglow. But the combination of this palette is beautiful, and I mostly used this palette in conjunction with Inktense pencils, which we'll get to, which are pretty high on the list. So watercolor, yay. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other watercolor palettes that we won't talk about, but were also used in conjunction with the 143 times that I used watercolor. It's a lot. Next up is Neocolor IIs. So I started my Neocolor II collection, I think it was in 2022. And I just started with like 6 colors, I think. And then slowly, each time I went to the art store, this is an OG Neocolor. I've only replaced a couple of them actually, but each time I went to the art store, I would add another, probably 2 colors, pretty selectively. Like I don't have a huge array. I did have to add this brown Neocolor I in there. I found a set of Neocolor Is on the bus one day, brand new, still wrapped. So I have those, but I don't use them a lot. So primarily Neocolor II, which I didn't tell you, I used 96 times in 2024. Sometimes I would use them on their own for like quick art hang party drawing session, or like other drawing sessions. So fun, scribbly, quick drawings. I use them as part of mixed media landscapes with watercolor or gouache, and then Neocolor IIs and color pencils as a big combo. But I feel like this year I mostly just used Neocolor IIs on their own. Mostly. Next up is the Lamy Safari fountain pen in this very lovely yellow color. It's just a really nice, smooth writing, solid performing fountain pen. There's not a lot to it. I do have a converter in here, so I can refill this with whichever ink that I want to refill it with. And I have in here the, like I said, the platinum carbon black ink, which is fully waterproof once it's dried. So trick is you got to let it dry. And this I used, I'm going to say 100% of the time. Okay, let's say like 98% of the time of the 65 times that I used this. So we went from 143 uses of watercolor, 96 uses of Neocolor, and 65 uses of the Lamy Safari fountain pen. So bit of a big drop between the top 2 and number 3. But like I said, I primarily used this fountain pen with the combination of these 3 watercolors in my single line drawing. So either portraits, or I did some landscapes, which were pretty fun. And then a couple master studies, but mostly it was the single line drawings. Next up is, I have the black Polychromos color pencil as its own kind of material supply, because I found this in my quest for the darkest, nicest black pencil to use as line work and things to be the best. And I used this pencil specifically, well, I have a couple of others, but specifically the black Polychromos color pencil as its own utensil, as opposed to like other color pencils or other pencils, 60 times. So I have a couple that are like really short that I have to use these pencil extenders from, which I just got from Amazon. 60 times. And I would use these with Neocolor IIs, woodies, things like that for like black line work or just line work, I guess. So yeah, I guess these two, I probably use the Neocolor IIs and the black polychromos together quite a lot. I'm gonna look through my my photos and I'll put up whatever I found that I used this with so that you can see a representation of what that was like or what I used it with. Next up is Inktense pencils, and I use these 54 times. So, just get the rest of the kids here. I do have a collection that I take out that I use as like a little palette most often, I would say. So I use these basically two different ways. One is for plein air drawing. So I would take these out to the park. I would take these out to the art museum, or if I was traveling, like on a train or something, like a longer ride, or travel, like airplane flights and things like that. These are my go-to supplies for those situations. With a little water brush because they're Inktense, and so therefore you can use them dry or you can add water and then boom, Inktense. So I use these 54 times in combination. Not majority, I would say. I'd say like half of the time on their own, just as drawing utensils, as like color pencils, and then wet them down with ink. Or I use them, the full set in combination with the granulating watercolors. And I'll show you some examples of those. And I think these little paintings are some of the favorites that I've done this year. I just love the combination of the granulating colors with the Inktense pencils for line work and like extra added detail and depth and dimension and stuff. I just think that these are some of my most beautiful pieces from the year, or the most fun, maybe. Some of them are beautiful. They're all fun to do. Yes, so those were the Inktense pencils. Next up is acrylic paint. I picked out my fluorescent reflex rose to represent all of the acrylic paint that I used this year, but I have a bucket of it, and I used acrylic paint. I used acrylic paint 44 times. So this is my bucket O acrylic. It's actually pretty cute. I think I have a reel or a short or something of me painting this apple basket. But yes, it's a variety of everything. So I've got some Amsterdam acrylics. I've got some Liquitex professional heavy body. Got some Liquitex basics. Pretty sure there's there's some just like art store brand. I need to get a new one of this turquoise because it's empty. Above ground acrylics, which is an local art store. Oh my gosh, don't let me go on a rant about these, but some Sennelier abstract innovative acrylic. The paint's nice. It goes moldy really quickly in my Stay Wet palette, and the lids are garbage. Like the top is off of the blue there, and then I have a yellow one here that's also like, it's just plugged with paint. So I have to remove the paint plug to get to the paint. Anyway, acrylics, 44 times. I'm surprised it was that much. I will find some examples of what I made with acrylic. The last thing I made was the big 22 by 28 inch portrait commission of 3 people, which was really a joy to work on. And then all of the other things that I can't think of what I did using acrylic paint. So that's a bit of a surprise. 44 times I used acrylics. Next up is color pencils. So I used color pencils 43 times. This is, again, just a representation for my little flat lay here. But I have this pencil roll. I did not make this. I got this off of Amazon, but it's just a pencil roll that holds all of my pencils, which are primarily Prismacolor Premier. I did pick up some fluorescent Holbein when I was in Japan in 2023 that I was excited for but didn't really use. And again, I use these mostly in mixed media. I probably did do some quick like drawing sessions with them, but not many this year, I don't think. So again, examples. Next is ink. So ink as a different category from acrylic ink. So inks I used 36 times, and I would say probably like pretty confidently 99% of the time used these Higgin drawing inks. And in these, I only have these colors in this ink. I have a set of like calligraphy ink that I used maybe a couple of times, but it's mostly these that I used, and they're so fun. They're so fun to play with. I like not mixing them. I rarely mix them, but I like using them for drawing. So to get like a paintbrush, I'm trying to find. Yeah, so I would just use like usually water brush with like a nylon water brush to like dip in and draw. And I would have 3 going at a time so that I wouldn't mix the colors and stuff. And then I was like, why don't I just fill the brushes with the ink? And so I've been using these for the last little while, and it works really, really nicely. I was worried that they would get all clogged or like they wouldn't flow quite as nicely as using them separately. But yeah, so this is pretty fun. And I think this year I'm going to try taking these out for like museum dates, although I probably shouldn't bring liquid in there, or like coffee shop dates or things like that. I just really enjoy drawing people using these, so you'll see some examples of that. I'm sure there's other things that I use these for, but I feel like it's mostly for people drawing, although using them 36 times just to draw people, I don't know if that's true, so we'll see what I did with them. Then we have, these might be my favorite new supplies of the year. The Sakura Solid Marker. So these are solidified paint. So it's a little bit different than a paint stick, which we'll see next. So I used these paint sticks 33 times. I used these paint sticks 36 times, the solid paint sticks. Solid paint marker. And I like to use these in combination with the big graphite crayon. So this is a 2B graphite crayon, which we will hear more about. But these are so fun to use. They're a little bit stinky, like they smell a little bit like spray paint or something. They do definitely have a smell, but once they're dry, they're dry. Like, and then they don't smell once they're dry, and they take about 5 minutes to dry on paper. But they go on anything. Like they're made for like graffiti, or I think these are what the car places use to write on the windows and things like that. Although I think they dry permanent, so I don't know if these are the things. But they're really fun. They're really fun to use. And I've definitely used the pink a lot. Like the pink feels a lot lighter than the other two, and I know I've used it a lot, so I probably need to get a new one of these before too long. They're not like crazy expensive or anything. Oh, I do have one more of those. I forgot. It was the first one that I got. This is the Solid Combo marker, and it's a rainbow one. So I was really excited to get this, and this is the one that I used first, and then I found these ones at a skateboarding store. So definitely need, probably very soon, to re-up on my pink. Next is paint sticks. So these are super cheap paint sticks that I got from the dollar store. They're $4.50 for a pack of 10. I want to say I actually have a set here. I'm hoarding them. Trying to save them to give to art friends and stuff like that. So yeah, 10 colors, and they're just super super fun. Like, some of them are a little bit more transparent than others. I have a whole video of making rainbow paint sticks. So I cut up a set and put them back together to make my own rainbow markers. Super fun. Super fun. I wish that video had more eyeballs on it, because it's like, it was one of my favorite ones to make in 2024. This here in this lip balm is just like the leftovers of everything. So like, as I use it down, there's more and more colors that come out. So that's fun. But these paint sticks I used 33 times, and I use them a lot on their own, or with the that's another thing I use the black polychromos pencil with. Would be these guys. So those are fun. Next, most used are brush markers, which I used 28 times. I think I used these Sai Acacia Japanese traditional color brush markers. I think they're like water soluble ones, so you can like wet them and use them like watercolor and stuff. And I got a couple of colors when I was in Japan, and then I ordered a set. I think I got them through Amazon or something, just to have more colors, because I really had fun using them initially, and then after using them 28 times, I don't think I use them in the second half of the year. So I'm not really a big marker fan, but in that number, I will say, is also, I would have used these Pitt Faber-Castell Pitt markers, which are Pitt Artist Pen brush. Nice. They're waterproof. These are waterproof. The colors are really nice. This is a landscape set that I bought together. So those would be included as a brush marker. And then the new kids, that would also be included in there just a couple of times. In the 28 times are these Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua Dual markers, which I picked up pretty recently. They have like a fiber brush on one end, so it's not like a brush. Like, these ones are an actual brush with like actual brush fibers on the tips. But these ones have the brush on one end, and then they've got like a fine point on the other. So good for drawing, good for like blocking down color, like big shapes and stuff. I really need to use these more. Maybe I will use them more this month for Introvert Drawing Club's People Month. Am I a little bit out of order? Brush marker. Yes. Okay. So that was brush markers used 28 times. And then Woody, the Stabilo Woody 3-in-1 crayons, I guess, I used 27 times. So big thank you to Amy for gifting me these. Amy is an art hang party friend who came for an art hang party here in real life. So it was really nice to get to meet her. And she brought me her woodies, which she wasn't using. So I used these 28 times, and these ones I use a lot for art hang parties and things like that. So quick drawings. They're really fun. They're very, very, very similar to Neocolors. So I would say if you have Neocolors, you probably don't need woodies. Although they are fun to use, but they're very, very close. Selling it. Next is the Chubby graphite crayon, and this is a fine tech. I picked this up at an art store when I was camping with my family in Kincardine, Ontario. It's not water soluble, although I do now have some water soluble ones that my mom gave me for Christmas, but I think I probably marked the 1 or 2 times I use that down as one of these. Anyway, this I use for drawing, and mostly with the pink solid marker, or I guess just the solid markers in general. But also just like as a drawing utensil. It's like I can't sharpen it, so I love like the just bluntness of it. It's really fun. And then next 27 times I did digital digital art. So on my iPad using Procreate. Yep, that's my Apple Pencil. I'll show you an example of that. 25 times I use the Pentel Pocket brush pen, or where's the other one? Or these Pentel brush pens. So either the Pocket or I've got a blue one and a gray one, but really it would mostly be the Pocket brush pen. And I fill this up, I refill this. I don't buy the cartridges for it anymore. I have like a little cat medicine dropper thing that I refill this with the platinum carbon black ink, and it works beautifully. Yes, so really nice, solid drawing utensil. And then next to that, I use that 25 times. I can't remember if I say the number of times I use it, or if it really matters. It doesn't really matter. 23 times next on the list, I used the Pilot Parallel pen, and they have different widths of this one, but they call it a parallel pen because it is like a really wide nib, or a really thin nib. And this is like super fun to draw with. I've taken this out for plein air drawing a lot. I've drawn here inside with it a lot. It's really juicy, and I don't think you can get cartridges for it, but you can refill it just like you can the Pentel one. So in here also is the platinum ink. And then next most used is acrylic gouache. So sometime during the year I bought a set of Turner acrylic gouache, and then sometime during the year I bought a second set of Turner acrylic gouache. So they all live in here, and I really, when I first got them, I wasn't so keen on them. But then I took a couple of Gail Kabaker and Jennifer Orkin Lewis online workshops and really started to enjoy them. So I'll show you what I have made with them. And yeah, I quite like it. In fact, they've taken over regular gouache for me because we haven't seen that come up yet on the list. Whereas like a year or two ago, gouache would have been like probably second to watercolor. So next on the list is oil pastel, and I use these 21 times. This is just a representation. I've got a number of sets. So this is a Mangayo water soluble oil pastel, which doesn't make any sense in my head, and I will never use it that way. I have Paul Rubens watercolors, which are my favorite of the ones that I have. What else do I have? I have some Montmartre and some Crayola, which are pretty fun, and Pentel, which are pretty fun. Oil pastels, I always say, are my most favorite. They just feel like play. Yeah, and I'll show you. I usually just use those on their own, although I did use them one time with acrylic paint for this duck painting, which I just think is maybe one of my best works of the year. Next up is Inktense paints, which I used 19 times. And I use these a lot with, actually I probably use them a lot with the pens and other things. I'll have to find some examples. Yeah, I'm gonna have to visually show you because I can't think right now what I use those for. a lot. Next, and surprisingly high on the list for only getting them at the end of November or beginning of December, is the Cretacolor Mega Color pencils. And I seriously love these. I love them so much. So this is my collection of them. I should have about 5 or 6 more in my set. Like some of the reds and oranges are missing and on back order, and I'm not sure if I'll ever get them. Oh, drama. But they're so fun. I love a chunky art supply, as you can tell from like some of these, the crayons, the woodies and things. We'll get to the little fat man. But these are really nice. Like they're hard when you use them, like on the paper, but they're also like super pigmented, kind of crayon-y, but pencil. They're just, I have so much fun drawing with these. So I'll show you a bunch, and you can see that I've used the black a lot. So I think since I got these, the black of this pencil has taken over the polychromos. Yeah, but I'm gonna need to find a new art store that sells them individually, because the one that I bought them from, I think is going out of business and stealing my money. But I love them. I love them so much. I think they're up there for favorite of the year, for sure, for sure. Following that, number 18, that I used 18 times this year is my rainbow pencil. And I'm so sad that this is all that I have left of this rainbow pencil. So this is, I got this in Japan, and it's the Camel rainbow pencil. And I actually loved it so much. I actually looked on the manufacturer website and considered importing like a case of them just because they're so good. And I can't find them anywhere here, but we are going back to Japan at the end of February. So you better believe I'm going to buy a few of these. But I'm going to have to turn this into a necklace like I did. Show you how much I've used the black polychromos color pencil. This is my first one. So I've gone through, I think I have 2 about this size, which goes to about there. And then this, which I just put a hole through with a needle, like a sewing needle. So I'm going to do that with this rainbow pencil. Oh, here, this is better. You can see. I think it's got like 8 colors in it, but the colors are so nice. They're so nice. They're so clear. It's just fun. I do have some of the, I think these are Cretacolor as well, Mega Quattro ones, but they're not as fun. For whatever reason, these are not as fun as this one. So I'm gonna make myself another little necklace with that guy. Not that I've done anything with this, but I will. Next, I used the Art Graph 16 times. So I first had this Art Graph Tailor Shape, was the first Art Graph product that I acquired. And these are water-soluble graphite. And this color is very nice. And it's just kind of fun to draw with. It's fun to use with the brush to get the pigment off the Tailor Shape. And I also then picked up more recently this Art Graph graphite stick. So I was looking at, like, it comes in a little tin as well that you can just use with like a water and a brush. But I really like the idea of the stick because you can draw with it, or you can also use it with the water and a brush. So I think this is a little bit more versatile, but really fun to use. I've been using this a lot lately. It's kind of taken over this graphite crayon a little bit because the looks are very similar, but this one you can use water with it. So fun. Next are the Sharpie creative markers. I was gifted a set of these. by my art friend Sarah. And they're fun. They're like super opaque, really nice to use. The brush, it's got that fiber tip on it. Really fun to draw with, really fun to just quickly lay down color. I love the black. And I know some people have told me that you can just buy the black separately in a set, but I haven't been able to find it in Canada yet. So I will continue to be on the lookout for those because I love the black. I'll show you some examples of what I did with it over some acrylic paint. Yeah, maybe that's what I counted the acrylic for, was like the backgrounds of things, like when I would scrape paint for backgrounds. But yeah, the blue is really nice. But the black is a great black. And I use those 16 times. Next on the list is acrylic ink, which I used 12 times. And I have a collection, as you would expect. So I have a collection, a mix of Liquitex acrylic ink and FW Daler Rowney acrylic ink. So I have the fluorescents, just a yellow and a pink. This is a refill because this is almost done. Yeah, so I started with a set. I think there was five of the Liquitex in a set, and then I just infilled this sap green permanent, and there was one other one I think that I bought. I don't know. I made this like chartreuse yellow. Yeah, yellow, a red, a white. Actually, a white. I think this is a pink that I had to make, a blue, and black, and then there's like yes, raw umber, transparent raw umber. These are beautiful base layers for landscapes, which I'm pretty sure I primarily use them for. But I could surprise myself when I look through my photos to see what I made with these 12 times. Next, I have down the Faber-Castell 14B pencil that I also used it 12 times, so tied with acrylic ink. But I'm pretty sure I also used the Blackwing pencil and the Stabilo All pencil. I don't know where that one went. Yeah, the Stabilo All pencil. The Stabilo All is a great black pencil. It's water soluble. It's super creamy. It goes over absolutely everything. So anything on this table here, this Stabilo All pencil is going to work over top of. It's magic. And Charlotte Hamilton, Blue Shine Art, recommended the Faber-Castell 14B pencil as a super dark pencil. I don't know if you're going to see that. Like it's dark, but it's not as dark as the Stabilo All. And then the Blackwing is just a really nice graphite pencil. Yes, so pencil, I should have just put pencil 12 times. And then we're coming to the end. We're getting there. 11 times I used gouache. And I think I mostly used it from this palette. So this is mostly Holbein gouache. And some of the colors I have mixed on my own. Some of them are just straight from tubes. But I have come to like using gouache dried, especially like taking it out for plein air landscapes and things. So I don't have to worry about tubes and whatnot. I do have another palette I made. Of course, it's the last palette that I check. So I made this palette toward the end of summer to take out plein air painting as well. So same colors, just a little different, easier to take out format. And I would take a spray bottle and kind of spritz them so that they get a little bit juicy, but you can see that they're pretty dry. which is fine, which is totally fine. I like using them like that. But I do have tubes. Following that, so I use the gouache 11 times, which is really low. So definitely watercolor and acrylic gouache took over regular gouache, I think, for me. I used the Sailor Fude fountain pen, this guy here. I'm sure you recognize it, with the bent tip, 10 times. I'm surprised it's so low because this pen is a lot of fun to use. It went out with me every time we went to sit in the park. I think I probably used this more last year. So 2023. I have in here, I have a really dark green Noodler's ink called Zhivago. It looks black, but it's green. And then when you add water to it, it like shows more green, but it is waterproof. But if you like get to it before it dries, it's pretty fun. 11 times. And then new kid on the block, the fat little man or little fat man. This is a Majon fountain pen that I found on Amazon. I was doing like a random scroll for weird art supplies, weird or unique art supplies, and I came across this little chubby guy and saw that it also had a Fude tip on it, and I was like, okay, I need this. I've used this only 6 times so far, but what's really cool about this pen is that you just put the ink directly in the base of it. Like there's no converter or anything. You just fill it up with the ink. It comes with a little squeezable pipette. So you just pull the ink out of there and you're ready to go. I do find that I have to like get this started by like tapping it a little bit before it'll work. So like it doesn't have amazing flow, but it's still really cute and really fun, and like holding it is really comfortable. I've told you I like holding chunky things in my hand. But yeah, and it's so cute. It's so cute. And I put the platinum carbon black ink in here so that I could have both Fude tips, with one with black and then one with the green. So they're pretty good complement to each other, I think. And then finally, soft pastels, which I just got recently. I got a set of 64 Mungayo soft pastels. And did I do a swatching of these? Can't remember. I did do an unboxing of this guy, so I'll make sure to link that below if you haven't seen it. It's pretty cute. I don't know if I did an unboxing of these, but I used these at an art hang party, landscapes, recently, and they're really, really nice to use wet. They're like super messy if you like pick them up and draw with them, like I think would be traditionally done with soft pastels. I don't even know if these are meant to be water soluble, but I really like the look of them being used as paint. Really like it. So these are new, and I only used them 5 times so far. But yeah, very fun new art supply that I'll probably be using a lot this year. And that's everything. That's everything that I used in 2024. Makes me realize that I've got a lot of art supplies. I think there's some that I could use more than others, but I think I got fairly good use out of everything that I have. I'm just looking around at my shelf to see if there's anything that I haven't mentioned that I used. I do have this little thing of Daniel Smith Moonglow that I use sometimes on its own. But I also have Daniel Smith Moonglow in all of my watercolor. So I'm just trying to see if I missed anything. I didn't mention sewing. So I've sewn a lot this fall since getting a sewing machine. So I'll maybe put a little flip of everything that I sewed this year. I didn't count that up, but it was fun, and I really do want to do a lot more sewing in 2025. Yeah, I think 2024 was a really good art year for me. I loved creating every day. I don't know that if there was a day that I didn't create, it was because I was on a plane or it was because I had a migraine or something like that. So yeah, uh, create every day. Use your supplies. I mentioned this in my last video. My goal for 2025 is to buy any new art supplies. I have more than enough. I have more than enough of a selection of everything, and I have more than enough supply of everything. So I don't want to buy any more watercolors. I mean, maybe I'll need to replace a Neocolor, or maybe there's a color that's just like, I need to have it. But I don't need any more pencils. I don't need any more color pencils. If I can find the woodies in the colors that I have on back order that I'll probably never see, I'm going to get those. I am going to Japan the end of February, beginning of March, so I'll probably pick up some fun Japanese art supplies. But again, they'll be new and something different than what I already have. But that's my plan. Please hold me to it. Please, like, if you see me buying new watercolor, be like, Melissa, no. I I beg you just to please hold me accountable to that. Anyway, what was your most used art supply in 2024? I know you're probably not going to be as extra as I was and actually go through your Google Photos and mark down absolutely everything that you used. But just off the top of your head, what was your most used? And then what was your favorite? What was my favorite? My Maybe it's because they're so new, but the Cretacolor Mega Colors are definitely up there. I think the solid paint marker graphite crayon is up there. I think the granulating watercolors are up there. I just love having fun with art. That's it. That's all. So whatever is fun to use is my favorite. And everything is fun. Everything is fun to use. Okay. I can't answer that question. Yeah, no, it's impossible to answer that question. Looking at everything right now, right here, it's like everything is fun. Everything is fun. I love everything. Anyway, that was good. I was hoping that this video would be like 30 minutes, but it's coming close to an hour. So thank you so much for sticking with it if you're still here. Yeah. Okay. That I should say goodbye. I'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you at our hang party. Bye.